We have some big news out of Elon Musk's Grok AI, the ChatGPT competitor that's coming out of xAI, and that's in relation to a consumer app that it looks like they're slated to launch. In addition, they've added a massive new data set, and there's a lot of talk about just how much compute they have, with even OpenAI worried about it. So we're going to dive into all of that in the podcast today. Before we get started on the podcast, I wanted to say the number one way that I've been able to elevate my personal brand, grow my businesses, get new customers, get investors for my software projects is through podcasting. It's why people listen to me. Um, and I believe that this is something that is really powerful for anyone to do. So, because of that, I've created a podcast course that you've probably heard me talk about for this week only. Black Friday and Cyber Monday week, I have a 50% off discount code. So if you've ever thought of starting a podcast for any of your businesses, whether that's run by AI or run by yourself, I highly recommend you get this podcast course. It's going to cover exactly how I got 4 top ranked podcasts. I did this all from home and have over 4 million downloads on all of them that have dramatically helped all of my companies and my personal brand. So I highly recommend starting a podcast. Obviously, I'm biased because this is what I do every day. But if this is something you've ever thought about doing, get the discount code, which is in the description right now, Black Friday, and use that to get 50% off the course. I think this is something that will definitely help you create a very powerful brand and podcast that is a big success. Let's get into what Elon and xAI is doing. So the first thing that is, a lot of people are talking about is this consumer standalone app. Up until now, xAI with their Grok model, a lot of people debate whether it's good or bad or whatever, but the only way to get it is if you have a Twitter account that's premium. If you're paying for the premium Twitter account, you can get Grok. And maybe they've actually allowed you to do a couple messages without the premium account, but it's very limited, right? So unless you're actually paying you're paying for the subscription or whatever, you're not going to get access to this. This will, I presume, change. I'm not sure if they'll have a free model, but definitely for people that aren't on Twitter all the time or don't have the app on their phone, I, for one, go through phases. I'm like super, I'll be 100% honest. I'm super addicted to Twitter or X or whatever. And it's like drugs for me. I could just sit there and like scroll for days and read tons of people's stuff and waste a whole day just reading. Especially, it's super easy for me to justify because I'm obviously here breaking AI news and breaking it down. So it's like really useful to know what people are talking about. I find that if I have the app on my phone, I waste way too much time. So, and it's not just X, it's also Instagram and any other social media app, TikTok and Snapchat. Like I don't have any of that on my phone. And Twitter sometimes it's like one of those apps that I'll download and then delete all the time. I have a love-hate relationship with it because I feel like I get a lot of great information, but I definitely waste time. So that's just me. And if you are anything like me and trying to stay off of social media, it could be kind of tricky to be like, well, the only way to get access to this AI model, if you want to use it, is on a social media account. It's honestly the same thing as like what Meta is doing, embedding Meta AI into Messenger, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, right? Like you got to have the social media. So the thing that I love about ChatGPT is I have the ChatGPT app. It's not really a distraction. I'm not getting anything out of it other than an answer from the AI the moment I need it, and then I close it and I'm done. And I think that this is something that could be really beneficial and could help a lot of users that are trying to be conscious and focused with their time to not only have to use this on a social media platform. And so I think that having a standalone app in addition to, sure, having it embedded in your other places where you have lots of users is a really smart play. This probably is going to arrive right after they close their next funding round, which right now looks like it could reach about $5 billion in cash that they're raising, which really puts them on pace to seriously compete with Anthropic and OpenAI and essentially be one of the biggest AI companies, period. A lot of people kind of discounted them. They're like, oh, Elon's just trying to catch up to OpenAI because he backed them and then he, left them and now he's just like jealous or whatever. And like, I mean, maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I don't no comment on that in particular, but I would definitely say you cannot discount him. Love him or hate him, you can't discount him for this. xAI is a very serious company. They were able to recruit very serious AI talent, and in a number of 3 months, trained their first Grok model. Now they're on, I believe, their second version, and allegedly right now they have their third version that's about to come out. That's going to be very, very powerful. And we're going to talk about some of the new data sets they've added to this third model. So I would say you can't discount the Grok model, and it definitely does have an interesting value proposition, whether you agree with it or not, of trying to be some sort of open source, censorship free, non woke AI model. Now, maybe you don't like all those things. I don't know. I don't care. But that's their value proposition. And there's undoubtedly a large percentage of the population that is interested in that. So, what's the valuation of the company? They're raising $5 billion, which is massive because that's going to put them on track to compete with all the big players. Their company is valued at about $50 billion. This is according to the Financial Times. This is double the valuation it had just 6 months ago. 6 months ago, it had a $25 billion valuation. This is massive. Another thing that's interesting with all of this is Musk has said to give the people that backed his Twitter acquisition, the $44 billion Twitter acquisition, he said to be giving them 25% or access to up to 25%, right? Meaning that they, I believe, probably have the ability to go and buy in to that. Maybe they don't necessarily have it right away. Anyway, so it's not like a free handout, but they had access to buy it at probably a great valuation or something. Um, 25% of xAI, and that's essentially to reward them for being loyal. Now, what's interesting here is xAI, which undoubtedly they're doing some impressive things. The CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, went and saw their new data center and where they're building out their superclusters. And he said that he was incredibly impressed. In 6 months, they built something that he said would typically take someone 2 years to build or longer. So they're undoubtedly going very fast, whether that's training the models, building these superclusters. I think Elon was able to pull some strings and get compute resources from both Tesla and SpaceX that could get allocated towards xAI so they could train their models faster. And I'm sure there's going to be some sort of licensing deal where Tesla and SpaceX get, I don't know, some sort of benefit or kickback out of that. I don't know what the deal is. But by essentially merging all of that together, all of the compute from all of those companies plus what xAI purchased from NVIDIA personally, they're seriously competing with even the big players like OpenAI, to the point where Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said he was concerned that in the very near future, if nothing changed, xAI was going to have access to more compute than OpenAI did. And he seemed pretty concerned about that. So this is very interesting. The fact that the current valuation that they're raising for xAI is 50 billion, meaning more than 44 billion's Twitter price. To me is kind of funny. I mean, to be fair, the Twitter acquisition had to happen all in cash or stock or like actual something tangible, whereas this valuation is just a valuation. They're only actually raising 5 billion of it in cash. Like that's what they're getting. So I don't know. But I do think it's very interesting. And so people that are that did invest in the Twitter acquisition. There was a lot of kind of, I don't know, there's like a lot of people that wanted to dunk on Elon because, I probably politically they didn't agree with him. And the dunk was he bought Twitter and now it's worth a lot less. There was a dunk for quite a while that it had less usage. I think it has all-time high usage allegedly, but it definitely is making way less money. So the big dunk was, look, Twitter's making a lot less money. He ran it to the ground. He's going to go broke. It was a bad investment. It seems like for the investors, because he's been able to get a $50 billion valuation on this AI company, and you can presume this thing's going to grow pretty fast and be pretty impressive, especially if xAI's AI tech is going to get embedded into his Optimus robots. Like there's a very bright future for xAI, and I think we could see a lot of ways that this thing can grow. So what's interesting is he has almost completely been able to make whole all of his original investors. That includes Twitter's original founder, Jack Dorsey, who left $1 billion in, Larry Ellison, Fidelity, Oracle, and Larry Ellison, the co-founder of Oracle, a bunch of other players. People were saying, oh, look, they lost all this money. Regardless of whatever happens with Twitter, if he's able to monetize it more or not in the future, it seems like having this sort of spin-off of xAI out of it in some way, shape, or form, in some sort of partnership, made it so that those original investors got made whole. So, I mean, cool move on his part for those people. When this closes, the company will have raised about $11 billion. This is amazing, right? We like OpenAI got kicked off to the races after a $1 billion investment from Microsoft, and then after ChatGPT launched, it kind of started going parabolic. Microsoft put in another $10 billion, about 50% of OpenAI. So essentially, when this round closes, we're going to be at, they'll have raised about the same amount that ChatGPT and OpenAI grabbed right after its launch. And they've, done a couple rounds since. And anyways, I just think this is a really impressive trajectory for a company that is so new, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens. So, what new things are getting embedded into this new round? Apparently, Elon Musk has confirmed that Grok 3, the newest model that they're currently training, they're adding all court days or all court cases to the training set. This is really interesting. Apparently, it's going to be able to render extremely compelling legal verdicts. And yeah, I think that finding some of these data sets that are a little bit trickier to have is really going to make this thing a lot more powerful. Elon Musk also did an interview recently where he said that Grok 3 is going to be the most powerful AI in the world. Like, that is a very bold statement, and I'm not sure if he's saying, yeah, I'm not sure, exactly when Grok 3 comes out, so when we could actually expect to see that. But all in all, a very bold statement, and I wouldn't leave him out just based off of how fast he's iterating, how fast updates are coming out of xAI. It seems like a very cracked company, if I'm being 100% honest. So, really curious to see how it plays out and what they're able to do, who's able to integrate with them. And I will definitely keep you up to date on all of that. If you enjoyed the podcast, I would really appreciate if you could leave a review for the show. Let me know what you think. And again, if you've ever thought of starting a podcast, this is the week to get the podcast course because it is 50% off. So check out the link in the description and also use the coupon code, one word, Black Friday, all caps, to get 50% off that. Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.